Welcome to Forest Knits. In case you are completely new to the space, my name is Lily. I am a 37-year-old Norwegian who lives alone in the Swedish forest with my Norwegian forest cat. I am a creative entrepreneur, I am a knitting designer, and I'm a video maker. Welcome to a new chapter of my creative life that I really did not see coming. In fact, there's not too many months ago since I said that this was never again going to happen. So I'm kind of going back on my own word there, but I am excited to start up a video podcast about knitting and creativity again. I quit. My creative online journey started on YouTube on the day 7 years ago in 2016 when I dropped the first Nordic Stitches video podcast. Hi guys, welcome to Nordic Stitches podcast episode 1. This is nerve-wracking. I have had another YouTube channel called Knit and Crochet where I did a lot of vlogging. And I thought this was going to be a piece of cake. It's not. I have show notes laying in front of me. I have a cup of tea. I should have had something to wipe my forehead. But it's going to be good. So bear with me through this episode where I introduce myself and the pinpoints on what you can expect from future episodes. I'm gonna do the same as I did back then, promoting my designs, and this time also my business, because I have launched a creative, sustainable focused knitting business. But this time around things are going to be quite different. So if you have followed this journey for a while and you've missed me for the 3 years that I took a break from this channel, then you have to know that everything is going to change. When I operated as Nordic Stitches, I mass-produced knitting patterns. I designed over 70 knitting patterns. I made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos, and I did not know much about or really care about sustainability. I'm not going to continue in those footsteps because I got burnt out by doing what I was doing, and also at the end of the Nordic Stitches journey, I started to shift. I started to notice that I wanted a more sustainable way of not just living my life, but also in terms of my creativity and knitting. And everything I was doing online back then did not match at all my newfound knowledge and inspiration and desires, really. And so going forward, since my business is sustainable focused, this channel will also be sustainable focused. And this is actually my 3rd podcast that I am currently running. So this is the video podcast. It will be free and available for everyone to watch. I also have an audio podcast, which is available both on Spotify and here on this YouTube channel, so you can listen to that for free. I also have an audio podcast especially made for my GreenRoom members, but I will talk about my GreenRoom a little later in the episode. So I just want to touch upon a little bit what you can expect since I have just announced that nothing's gonna be the same. I've aged 3 years. I've gained 20 kilos that I'm currently working very hard to get off again, and I had this idea that I wanted to reach even more people, and I get the sense that a lot more people watch YouTube knitting podcasts versus listening to them. But I don't want to quit making audio podcasts because it is a very lovely and creative outlet for me to promote my business to people who might be interested. And since I am very passionate about not just talking about sustainability, and especially in knitting and in creativity, I'm also genuinely interested in inspiring as many as I can to do the same for themselves, because I have felt and I have seen and I have experienced what that actually can do for you. And so I decided to make another podcast video where you maybe get to feel a little bit more included, because seeing me versus listening to me on Spotify might just be two very different things. So this podcast is another way for me to reach out to people who knit and who are interested in sustainability. Now, in case you do not know, sustainability is about more than Mother Earth. Sustainability is about long lasting, right? So, and a good foundation, something that's working well. So economy, social connections, so community, and of course also environment. And I tend to love to talk about all of those three things because ever since I embraced a more sustainable lifestyle, it has now become the foundation of everything that I do. So whenever I grab for something to do or consider a new creative outlet, I automatically start a thought process around it, making sure that I'm doing that for me. It is something that I'm going to enjoy, and I could go on forever. But basically, this podcast is another creative outlet for me to talk about sustainability in knitting and creativity. And with that, these episodes are going to be topic based. So I'm going to talk about one specific topic per episode. In addition to that, of course, I'm also going to talk about my designs and my business. But as you will have seen from the introduction to this episode, this first episode is called The Wardrobe Project Part 1. And that is because oh goodness me, when I think back on these past 7 years of knitting, I wonder why I didn't see this earlier, but it kind of dawned on me this year. Gaining 20 kilos is one thing. You know, your knitwear doesn't fit as well, you wear it out a little quicker because it gets tighter and all the things, but I also realized that my knitted wardrobe and my handmade wardrobe in general, as a knitter, it was painfully short on handmade items. I am great at thrift shopping. I can count on two hands the amount of garments I have purchased new the past 10 years. I realized that the past 7 years I have focused on knitting accessories. And also I'm focused on knitting in superwash because it is the hype. However, in 2019, superwash and I broke up. I went to a old fisherman's cabin, and this was on my bucket list of things to do before I die, which may sound very morbid, but I think everybody should have such a list and strive to actually cross off things, because it is going to make your soul so happy. I went to one of those fishermen's cabins in 2019. I packed my belongings on storage after losing my cat, and I put my belongings in a storage facility. I made myself homeless for about 4 or 5 months. I went to live with my mom for a few months, and I used her home as a base. She lives in the Arctic parts of Norway in Vesterålen. I went around here and there, and I crossed off my bucket list a weekend alone in an old fisherman's cabin in Henningsvær. A Roman brew like this comes with the necessities for the kitchen. I want to point out the fact that they have beer openers, but no scissors. That's when you know when you're in the northern Norway. And this was midsummer, and I packed all the knitted things I had because it was going to be so cold and windy and just very weathery, which is very typical for the coast of Norway. But it was when I was in Henningsvær with all this weather that I started noticing that I wasn't as cold as I used to be. And I thought that this was very strange. And I react very badly to weather as well because I have fibromyalgia. I am a fibro warrior. So weather tends to make me sick, especially coastal weather, because it is so temperamental and it is so unpredictable and it just hits you. But so I just started noticing that I wasn't as cold and my body wasn't as aching, even though the temperatures were below 15 degrees Celsius. It was super windy and it was pouring down with rain. And so I started wondering, why the heck is this? I should be so cold, I should be so sick right now. And then it dawned on me that the only difference I had made was a shawl. And I actually have it here. This is the squishy shawl that is designed by Mina Philip of the Knitting Expat. This shawl is a delight to knit. You can knit it as big as you want. And the reason that it dawned on me that this was the only difference I had made was because I didn't usually wear this, because I also spun the yarn. So I didn't want to wear it out, you know? I just wanted to make sure that I had it forever and it was going to be the most precious thing that I ever had. It is brioche, and it is non-superwash. And it was when I realized that when I was wearing this non-superwash shawl that I was able to stay warmer and drier, that I started to embark on my sustainable journey in the creative aspects as well, because I have implemented a lot at that point. I had already implemented a lot of sustainable aspects in my life in general. And so, being the curious person that I am, you know when kids ask, why, every time you answer a question, why is it like that? Why is it like that? I'm kind of like that even at 37. It's always fun to learn new things. And so that's when I discovered that superwash yarn is coated with plastic and or glue. And so it's basically chemically treated to be super so that it goes in the washing machine. I already knew at that point that wool doesn't have to be washed unless it's actually greasy, because you can hang it out to air it. And you know, if it smells because you've sweated a lot, you can just hang it out to dry in the air and the air will clean it for you. And so I started wondering, why on earth would people put plastic or glue? Glue, by the way, is a kind of plastic. Why would people treat yarn with that just to be able to put it in the washing machine? Because putting it in the washing machine will inevitably also shorten the lifespan of the knitwear. And it has been a ball that has rolled ever since. That's when I decided to quit superwash. I sold off most of my stash, which was 90% or maybe even more superwash yarns. I gave away most of my accessories to thrift shops, and I started wearing this a lot. And I started buying yarns that weren't superwash, and I started caring a little bit more about what I was wearing, where it came from, and the processes behind it all. With all of that being said, now I'm a talker. When I first get started, I live with untreated ADHD. There's no stopping me when I first get started. So I do have a cup of Rubius tea here. Organic, of course. No plastic in this tea bag. Yes, they put plastic in tea bags. And yes, those microplastic thingies go into your bloodstream. They have found microplastic in our brains and our bloodstreams. I don't know about you, that kind of freaks me out. So, yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit of a sip of tea from my knitting mug. Strikketøy og... I need to read this from the right side. Strikketøy og varmt i koppen gir lykkerus i hele kroppen. And that was in Norwegian. Jag kan prata lite svenska också, men jag ska inte göra det. I am going to continue in English. Now for the wardrobe project, I have decided to first knit chunky sweaters because we are entering a colder season. I don't like entering a cold season thinking, oh no, I should have knit a sweater before I got cold. So this year, I'm getting a sweater before I'm getting cold. So it actually started with this. This is a scrap yarn project. It was inspired by my friend Solveig. She used to have a knitting project. She used to have a knitting podcast here on YouTube. And we've connected after both quitted, actually. We connected, and she was knitting a sweater where she held a neutral yarn together with scraps, and it was just so inspiring to me that yes, I need to do that. And it also, you know, is a lovely way to use up your scraps. Because you can put in tiny little scraps, you know, like these short ends can totally go into this. So this is actually a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I do not like the fit of this. The neckline is way too open, so it keeps sagging off my shoulders, so I keep doing this. So if I were to knit this again, I would move some stitches from the back over to the shoulders and from the shoulders over to the front so that it shifts a little. But I did enjoy knitting this very thick border of garters, and I also enjoyed using up some superwash scraps because this neutral yarn is Regia, non-superwash, Ecotex branded, by the way, and it's because it is non-superwash, this is going to keep me super warm even though there's superwash in here, so that's brilliant. All of these minis are from yarns that I've purchased or from advent calendars that I have swapped, and I chose to use only pinks and browns for this. I'm not really sure why I have so many pinks because it's not really a color that I go for, in case it's not very obvious. It's all about the green for me, but I don't have a lot of green yarn, which is super sad, so that will have to happen in the future. But yeah, so this is where that started, that wardrobe project. This is number 1. It is a long cardigan, open, not very fitting, at least for my body shape. And I usually just pin it close with the shawl pin, just so that it stays in place, like so. I also use it when I paint in my studio, so there's a little bit of paint down there. And in the future, it's probably going to be a lot worse than that. So the second project for my wardrobe is the Arctic Light sweater. This is such a delight to knit. Cables, bubbles, texture, everything I love in one pattern. Also, thick needles and thick non-superwash yarns so that it is going to keep me super warm. And not that I think that I need it while I live in southern Sweden, and I say while because this is not the end stop. I am renting here. The end goal is to purchase my own property. Watch this space, ... Not setting a date. But yeah, this is, like I said, such a delight to knit. The stitch definition with this yarn and 6mm needles, not following the pattern in terms of neither yarn nor needles. I tend to just do my own thing. I cast on as many stitches as I need based on my own swatch, and yeah, it's fun. I have knit the top of the body and the first arm, and it is absolutely lovely. Oh yeah, there's twisted stitches in here in this braid as well. This is designed by Veronica. I can't say her nickname, but a lot of you will already know who she is because she's got this brilliant YouTube channel and she has a lot of absolutely brilliant patterns. Now, There are numerous things that are important for me when I cast on a project. Like I said in the beginning, when I back in the day when I was Nordic Stitches, as long as I got to knit, I was actually just kind of happy. And well, I'm sitting here today without a wardrobe. I just have accessories. So today it is important for me to think about the projects before I actually cast them on. And it is important for me that my wardrobe and my accessories match who I am, not what is trending. I have knit numerous shawls because they were trending and I never used any of them, and so they just end up being in some kind of cabinet, just being space fillers, and it's just not sustainable. And so it is important for me to know before I cast on that I really, really, really love the pattern, and I know that I'm going to wear it. Like for example with this one. Okay, so the pattern ended up having a fit that, you know, but then again, I just put a shawl pin in and the problem is fixed. So, and it is keeping me warm, so you know, that's at least something. It is a rather quick knit, so I tend to just knit on this for a little bit here and a little bit there, because I also want to enjoy the process of the knit. I have learned that if I enjoy the process of the knitting, I enjoy the finished item or garment even more. And of course, it is also important for me that I knit in colors that suit me and my wardrobe, not the speckly yarn that I have used and all the colors that I used when I was Nordic Stitches, because again, this is very colorful for me. I don't use it when I'm out in public. It's a home cardi. But this is very fitting to me. I like unicolored, I like squishy, I like soft. So I'm probably gonna knit more of this. However, I have of course also some other patterns ready to cast on. I bought the Arctic Light sweater from VIDEOPODCASTING. And I print my patterns because I don't have focus to watch a screen and knit from that. Also, these charts, for me, I really need to have them here to focus. So I print on more sustainably produced paper, of course, which are Svanemärka, so the Nordic Eco label, even the paper. I also make sure to set the printer settings to use as little ink as possible, so I even think about that when I knit. But in addition to the Arctic Light sweater, I have also purchased her Wishbone sweater, also chunky. And I have purchased her Salty Days sweater pattern, also chunky. So when I have knit those 3 chunky sweaters, I will probably start knitting lusekoftor, again, you know, the stranded colorwork, cardigan, sweaters, typical traditional Scandinavian patterns. And with that, we're gonna transition into Scandinavia. Now, if you do not already know, in 2018, I designed a mitten pattern called Scandinavia. It is inspired by 2 things. It is inspired by the Selby Rose, and it is inspired by my favorite traditional Scandinavian, well, Norwegian stranded colorwork pattern, Setesdal. And the pattern came out like this. So this is the mitten design. It's improved a lot now than it has been ever. These are not available anymore. All the Nordic Stitches patterns are taken down, and I'm slowly rebranding some of them, not all of them, into now Lily Skog designs. And I'm also making sure to make more additions to the pattern. So for example, in addition to mittens, that I now have 2 pairs of, one in green with white pattern and one in white with green pattern, of course. I've created a beanie pattern to match, of course. Not that I look very good in beanies at this point, but there you go. also the headband, the Scandinavia headband. Yeah, I'm just not gonna care about what the... This is my favorite. I prefer a headband over a beanie. Cool, huh? So, matchy matchy. In addition to these patterns, so the beanie, the headband, and the mittens, I am attempting to design socks that will match, and there will also be a tubular scarf to match, and I am looking very much forward to knitting them all. I am down to knitting one beanie, and a tubular scarf and a pair of socks before I am ready to release it to my test knitters. I don't know if this is going to see the day of light before Christmas. In addition to being a designer, I do a lot of other things as well. So I don't spend a lot of time knitting anymore. And I know that that is like a for some, but for me, it's actually making me appreciate knitting a lot more. And if you can hear that, that's the chair, by the way. Someone called me a prolific knitter once, and I think this was back in 2018 or 19, and I do not forget this moment because I asked, what's prolific? And then I was told that it's someone who makes a lot of stuff, produces a lot of things in a short amount of time. I don't know if I'm translating that correctly, but I just instantly, oh wow, is that what people think of me? Like a mass producer? Oh my god. I don't want to be a mass producer, and I don't want to be known as being a mass producer. So for me, it became very important that I stopped. It had to have been in 2019, because I think it was around the time when I had the superwash yarn experience, realization, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, back to the Scandinavia designs. Like I said, I am currently redesigning it and making sure that everything is okay. I will be, like I said, releasing it to my test knitters, and you can sign up to be a test knitter when the forms are back up. I'm gonna try and have them all up by the time this video goes live. So this is what they look like. I always thought the inside of the mittens were so boring, and so I pimped it up by actually making the half of the Selby rows that are in the sides of the mitten here whole on the inside. And I think that actually made the whole mitten. I did that with my other mitten designs as well, which I don't know at this point if I'm going to rebrand. I'm not going to, like I said in the beginning, I'm not going to keep mass producing patterns and videos and all the things. I want to make sure that when I talk about something, I talk about it in depth, and I want to make sure that when I design something, I make it something that is of high quality, and I know that people are going to enjoy not just knitting it, but also wearing it. That is going to be my priority from now on. And so if there are any patterns of mine that you miss, then feel free to tell me. And the more that tells me that a certain pattern is missed, the more I will consider bringing it back. But it is not something that's gonna be done in a snap of a finger. It is, designing a pattern is a lengthy process, and it should be a lengthy process. Also, when I designed the Nordic Stitches, I was doing it as a private person. Now I'm doing it as a business. So there's two completely different things. And all the patterns that I'm rebranding, I'm actually rewriting, making them better. I'm improving the charts, I'm improving the written instructions. So even though the pattern looks the same when it's knitted, it really isn't. And now I want to wrap up this video with some yarn purchases. And I'm not going to make this a normal addition to the podcast because I don't really buy much yarn. However, I buy yarn when I need it. And now I needed it. So, like I said, for my Scandinavia series, I also want to make sure to at least attempt to design socks. At the point of this episode being recorded, I haven't really even made the chart. I'm playing around with the chart in my head, just haven't reached the computer yet. I have, however, purchased the yarn. So if I don't make a design out of Scandinavia socks, I will be knitting colorwork socks. And it shouldn't be a surprise that one of the skeins are green. Can you see a theme here? Green and white are my absolute most favorite color combinations. Not that white is a color. In skin, black and white are considered colors. However, otherwise, white and black aren't actually classified as colors. Sincerely, the one who spent a year in pre-art school and is a little bit of a nerd. However, back to the yarn. This is Regia 4-ply, and it is... I don't think the green is. That makes me a little bit sad. This is Ecotex. Basically, Regia has paid for that branding on there. It is a process that the yarn goes through to make sure that it is of high quality, that it hasn't been through a lot of icky processes that puts a lot of damage on our beautiful common home, planet Earth. Sadly, again, it doesn't say on the green that it is Ecotex or GOTS certified, but it is non-superwash, so that's going to be lovely. This yarn, the strengthening of this yarn is, let me see, I need to say this correctly, polyamide. That is man-made. However, I have also purchased to try sock yarn without synthetic strengthening. This is a Swedish brand. It is Roggi Tensel. Now Tensel is the strengthening of this yarn. So, like I said here, it's polyamide, some have nylon. These have decided to go for Tensel, and it actually is named Tensel sock yarn. I don't know how many percent. Yeah, 25% Tensel. Tensel is a natural material. If I'm not mistaken, it is actually from trees. So I am very excited. I can already tell by just squeezing these yarns. It is so fascinating to me. So this is with synthetic strengthening, this is with natural strengthening, and even though if it is from a tree, it should feel hard, right? But if I squeeze these, if I were to say that I wanted a pillow of one of these, I would go for the natural because it is just the softest. Oh my goodness! I can't wait to knit socks out of this. I do not know. Do you have any kind of experience with knitting socks that has Tensel in them as strengthening? Because if you do, I would love to hear from you. Now, of course, this yarn is also Ecotex standard. Yes, suits my wardrobe and my personal preferences a lot more. And that is the only reason that I pulled out the yarn that I purchased, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the synthetic versus the Tensel, and I also wanted to talk about the softness to both of them, and of course the eco-labeling. Because it is a theme on this channel going forward. At the end here, I want to talk about what I offer in my business and what I plan to offer in my business. And I would be, if I were you, very excited about the things that I'm going to share right now, because I know that it was something that was lacking from my life, and someone just turned off the lights outside. That's what you get from working with natural lights. Oh my goodness. But at least my candle is burning a little brighter now. Anyway, so what I wanted to say was that, like I introduced myself here, I am a creative entrepreneur. And what I mean about that is that on May 1st, after 5 months of intense work and study, I launched my business. Now, it has not been smooth sailing from May 1st up until today. There's been glitches with the website, all evolving around my membership area, meaning that I have had troubles with my membership area, which means that in turn it hasn't gotten the attraction that it should, and also it's not being used as it should at this point. So if you want to help me continue the membership area and turn that around so that will live up to its intended purpose, pay attention now. The GreenRoom is my heart project. It is my baby. It is something that I created based on the lack that I was feeling when I decided to quit Nordic Stitches because of my newfound sustainable journey, and I didn't want to continue Nordic Stitches for numerous of reasons. I also fell out of touch with a lot of the knitters that I had contact with when I stopped being Nordic Stitches. And that is only to be expected, it is natural. But I also then was faced with the reality of that I didn't really know any other knitters that were focused on sustainability, that they were interested in sustainability. And I started looking for, you have to excuse the clouds turning on and off the lights here. Anyway, I started searching for an online community where I could meet other knitters who were interested in sustainability and wanted to talk about it and, you know, exchange ideas and knowledge and inspiration. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't even find a Facebook group for sustainable knitting, which is, taken into consideration the popularity of knitting at this time and how much we talk about sustainability, I find it very odd that very few are combining these two. And so I created the GreenRoom, which is the world's only membership online community for sustainable focused knitters. It is an exclusive community, so it is not for those of you who knit with acrylics or go for the cheap and the quick projects. It is for those of you who is a little bit more like me. You would appreciate a little bit of luxury, you appreciate the process behind yarn and knitting and thinking about a project, and you put thought and energy into thinking about why you cast on a project, and you don't knit just to knit. This GreenRoom is a limited spots open only, so there's a limit to 150 seats. And because there was a lot of issues with my website, I have decided to move it over to Patreon instead. And like I said, it is an exclusive membership platform for those of you who wish to connect with like-minded knitters. So it's not going to be the same price as a knitting pattern. It's also not going to cost the same as a champagne bottle. There's a little of a middle ground there, but in the GreenRoom, my goal is that you can come in and chat in our Slack chat forum with other knitters in the threads that we have there by sharing your knits and actually going in to communicate with the others who share their projects. A little bit like on Instagram or social media in general, but without hate, without spam, without hashtag focus, without all the negative aspects of social media. Also, the GreenRoom offers a little bit of extra bonus content, if you will, so benefits of being a member. And those are, on every first Friday of the month, I release an exclusive to the GreenRoom pattern that I also make a tutorial for. On the second and fourth Friday of each month, I arrange for a community knit night in Zoom, so you will have to have a Zoom account, be registered on Zoom. You will also, on the third Friday of each month, get to listen to a brand new episode of my evergreen podcast, which is the third podcast that I have. So that is exclusive only to the GreenRoom members. If you do not want to join the GreenRoom, there's also a basic support for the work that I do with all my knitting and designs and basic YouTube content and podcasting. You can join the basic tier. It doesn't give you access to the GreenRoom, but you will be able to listen to the monthly podcast. And there's already 12 beautiful episodes that you can listen to. So if that is something that you prefer, that option is there. And like I said, it's all over on Patreon, so you can find that link in the description box below. In addition to the GreenRoom, which again is my baby project, my heart project, that I hope that you will check out if you are interested in sustainable knitting in any kind of way. I also, like I've already touched upon, design knitting patterns. I am starting with a rebrand journey of old patterns that I made when I was under Nordic Stitches. Back then I designed as a private person, now I design as a business. I spend my time more preciously now. I don't just shoot out patterns I take a lot more time to consider the patterns that I am rebranding. I'm also taking a lot more time to make sure that they are of the highest quality that I can offer, and everyone who has the skill set that's needed to knit my patterns will find every single thing they need in the pattern, in the pages. I have linked things in there because, you know, they're PDFs that you open on your phone or a computer, and you can click links in there. So in the patterns, I include everything you need to knit those patterns if you have the skill set that's needed when you purchase it. I have also created the free Knitter's Sustainability Guide. In there is all about the biggest certifications about of eco-branded yarns, why it matters, and it's also packed with fun facts and tips and tricks. So everything you need to get started on your sustainable journey, or freshen up, or just continue on your sustainable journey, all packed together in one PDF. Because when I started my journey, I was overwhelmed and I couldn't find such a thing. So I hope that you will check that out. Now, in addition to that, later this season, so when I am back on Wi-Fi, I will finally open up for sustainable creative mentor sessions with me. Like I said, when I started this sustainable journey of mine, I was very overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start, where to go for proper resources, what resources to trust. It was very confusing because I was doing one thing and following so many others, and I spent a lot of valuable time going to and fro and doing a lot of research. I want to help you save that non-refundable time by reaching out my hands and helping you on your transition or on your path further to sustainable knitting or sustainable creativity in general, because I will be opening up these mentoring sessions for creatives. Now, that being said, the first mentoring sessions that I offer will be completely free with no strings attached whatsoever. And the only way that you will be able to grab these free one-to-one mentoring calls is by signing up to my emailing list, and that link is below. Now, in the future, after all of those free sessions have gone, those sessions will start to cost a little, but they will also just reflect the fact that they are just 30 or 60 minute sessions. I'm not going to start offering up sessioning packs with more than one session, because in addition to running this business and planning for my future, saving for a home that I want to buy and renovate, I also battle chronic illnesses. I do not want to promise you that I will be able to be there for you numerous times during a week. So I set aside a specific number of hours during the week where I rest before and after, so that I know that I can be there for you 100% during those sessions. So those sessions are going to be a one-time thing that you can book with me to chat about your sustainable journey. Now, if you want to book more than one session at a later point, of course you can do that. But I will not be doing what a lot of other creative coaches are doing by offering up packs, simply because I can't do that. And then, something that I'm also very excited about is that later down the journey of my business, I will start to offer courses for things that I myself is an expert in. For example, colorwork knitting, or drop spinning yarn on 3 and 2 ply on a drop spindle. All of these things that I know on an expert level how to do, I will be offering to you in course format. And the reason that I'm choosing the course format is, naturally, of course, for this to be a business, I have to earn a living. And also, it is a way for me to reach more people with my knowledge and my skills. It is a way for me to be able to teach as many as possible that wants to use my courses to grow a new skill set, because having more than one skill set in your tool belt is going to actually help you be more sustainable. The more creative skills you have, the more sustainable you will be able to be. In addition to that, I will also at some point, either this autumn or winter, depending on when I'm on Wi-Fi and everything that happens in life and so on, offer up a free 5-day challenge about sustainable knitting or sustainable creativity. I focus on knitting, so I will always talk from a knitting perspective, but you can join as a creative. And now, again, how do I know when all of this is live and available? Because I want to get started on my creative journey. I hear you. I hear you. All you have to do is leave me your name and email address below in the sign up for my newsletter link. Simple as that. That is the best way that you can stay on top of anything that I offer and do in my business. So for those of you who are interested, this is a business-based platform. This is a business-based woman that you're looking at, and my private life is my private life. I am not going to continue the way that I did with Nordic Stitches and make life vlogs and take you, you know, on random strolls in streets and things. Things have changed, and if you aren't happy with the changes, then feel free to unsubscribe. I will completely understand. No hard feelings whatsoever. People want different things, and my life has changed, and I want to focus on growing my business and reaching the right audience. And if you're not in the right audience, then I hope that you find what you are looking for elsewhere. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about the business in short terms. Of course, you can read all about it on my website. Now, in the next episode, I will be talking about this. And yes, there's a cat brush in here with fur on it. And I will show you why. Ooh, let's see. There we go. This is, oh, no. Wait. This is spun from my cat's fur. All in the next episode. I will also talk a little bit about the fiber that I have here and haven't spun yet. So if you are interested in that, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the famous bells so that YouTube can notify you when I upload a set video, because it will be up already on a Wednesday, if my internet allows. Here's to crossing the fingers, or as they say here in Sweden, hålla tummarna. And until I see you again, if you are excited about seeing me back on YouTube talking about knitting, then I hope that you'll let me know in either giving me a thumbs up or a comment below, or both. Yes, and that is going to help me boost this channel, because it has been dormant for 3 years, so not all who are subscribed are gonna get a notification even about this video. So the more you help me engage, the more I reach more people, and the more often I will be able to make these videos moving forward. I am excited about this new creative chapter in my life. I can't believe that I now run 3 podcasts in addition to my creative, sustainable focused knitting business. But you know, there you go. I'm gonna complete my tea now, enjoy my candle, and sit here and ponder a little bit what I should do with the piece of art hanging on the wall, because I'm not really happy with it. So if you are artistic and you have a little bit of pointers, then feel free to drop them in the comment below, or drop me an Instagram message. I think I need a little bit more of the darker green around here somewhere. Yeah, we'll see. Thank you so much for watching and spending your non-refundable time with me today. It is greatly appreciated. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your day by clicking play. And of course, thank you for being a part of mine when you drop me all those comments below. And until I see you again next, be kind, be good, spread love and acceptance, and embrace diversity. I'll see you soon. Bye.